hello. So I don't know how this thing works, but here I am. This is my first video in my channel. I'm not sure how many people are gonna see this, but if you're seeing this, hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, as you can already know by the title as itself, that it is gonna be about how do students in high school want to get into med school. Stay tuned, and yeah, I'm going to be covering on both government and private institutions, so I'll be briefly letting you know on what are the requirements or what you should do, what you should focus on, and little bits of tips and what were useful to me. So before that, I don't think so I'm doing any other introduction video, so this is going to be... So I'm Tanisha. I am currently in third year med school. I'm currently schooling in Queen's International University. If you don't know where it is, just Google it. I'll put somewhere around this clip. So yeah, currently I'm in my internal med rotation, and however, since we are in a lockdown right now, I can't really go to hospital, so we'll be doing it virtually, which means for more of case-to-case discussions. And I am here to share to you my experience, something that I had to learn myself, and not gonna deny I did had a few helps here and there, but let's just get to the topic. All right. Okay, so for government universities, what you need to know, even before you think whether it's government or private, you need to make sure your SPM year you do well in your exams. For example, all your science subjects, those are like your determining factors. Make sure you have good grades and keep your core subjects like Bahasa, English, moral, history and all that, Pendidikan Islam and all that are in creditable grades like ABCs, as long as you don't fail those subjects, right? Yeah, once you do that, in your SPM year as itself, you need to be aware of the dates for application for matriculation, because for matrics, they will open up the dates even before SPM. I'll put all the details in the description below. So once that's done, once you're done with SPM and you get your results, and then you apply for UPU. UPU is a platform where you can apply for Asasi programs which can help you to enter med school as well. So there are a lot of Asasi programs. I will put in the description below where you can read about what Asasi program that you can choose. I just want to pin out one Asasi program here, which is Asasi Pertanian under UPM. Many of us, when I was applying, a lot of us were confused at whether or not we can enter med school with this Asasi, and there was no like a clear-cut instruction or a guideline for us. So here it is. Asasi Pertanian can get you into med school. In fact, most of people who were in Asasi Pertanian ended up in med school as itself. So do not worry, you can still get into med school. Just an additional subject, that's all. Next, once you get into your pre-uni courses like matriculation or Asasi, you need to keep up with your CGPA. Brutally honest, make sure it is at least 4.0. Yes, 4.0 is the maximum and that is the minimum that you have to score. But nevertheless, do not lose hope, because 4.0 is like the safest route. It is like the option that can definitely get you an interview to get into med school. But you can still try to keep it up 3.8 and above. That is like the cutoff point. Make sure it is not lesser than that, because it just loses your chances to get into med school. Because women universities, there are a lot of people, a lot of competition is there, and a lot of really potential candidates are also there. So keep up your CGPA and then apply in UPU for your medical school courses. Now, the most determining factor to get into a government university is not only the grades, more towards your interview, because interviews in government universities it's like the factor that determines whether or not you are eligible to enter the university. So make sure you do well for your interview, prep yourself well for the interview, because honey, that's getting you into the uni. I don't know if you can hear that, but yeah, make sure you get your interviews well, and do talk to people who has done government uni interviews, because I myself, I am not an expert in getting into a government university because I'm a private uni student. I just little research that I've done before I entered a private uni, because I did want to try for a government uni but I did not get it. So yeah. Okay, so for some of us, we would want to try on scholarships. scholarships like JPA, Khazanah, and STAR. So these are the things that you need to keep aware, because these things don't come right after your pre-med. They are usually in the middle, usually in May, June, July, especially Khazanah, because Khazanah has like a lot of rounds to go through. So I'll put in the link below for each Khazanah, JPA, as well as STAR scholarship, so that you can keep on track with your dates to apply and make sure you do not get in too late. Because why I'm telling you this is because all these applications require at least a recommendation letter, an application essay, as well as interviews, as well as forms for you to fill up that require a lot of like certificate scanning and all that. So you need to be prepared so that you don't rush through detail getting into acceptance into one of these scholarships. So that's pretty much for government universities, and let's go to private now. Okay, so let's get into private. Things are not as tedious as it is for government, because number one, there's not a lot of people who would go into a private university. So generally the capacity of a private university is smaller in comparative to a government university. Hence, your chances of getting into one is higher in comparative into getting into a government university. We have to accept the fact that government university has a lower tuition fee in comparative to a private university. Okay, so now for a private university, you make sure you need to get your science subjects in credits, and as well as your core subjects in credits. Once you're done, you can get into programs like foundation, A-levels, matriculation, like Australian matriculation. Or so once you in private as itself, you just need to maintain credits like A and B's in your main subjects, and in your uni subjects, as long as you pass it, you can get through. And I think a minimum CGPA of 3.0 to 3.5 depending on certain universities. So in the university that I am in, a minimum of 3.0 is sufficient to get into med school. So now, once you are done with your pre-uni courses, when you apply for a private university, you will attend an interview as well, because interview is like a mandatory thing in every medical institution. They want to know who you are as a person. So in a private university, it is not as challenging as it is in government uni, because in government uni the determining factor is the interview, but in a private uni the determining factor is your results. So if your results is okay, then you get in. Interview is more like the institution wants to know more about you, especially if you're a person who's not from the institution as itself. Let's say you're a student from University A wants to join University B, so they don't know about you. So yeah, pretty much that, and yeah, then you get into a med school. Nevertheless, like I mentioned, tuition fees in private universities are very, very expensive. Like it ranges from 300,000 to 500,000. It can go more, but like when I was applying, it was around that range. So when you're applying for a private university, do consider about scholarships that are offered within the universities. If I'm not mistaken, almost every university has their own university scholarship. So do ask your university, ask all your student recruitment people of the faculty, so that it helps you to ease your payment process. And next, do consider about PTPTN. So for those who are really who really don't get a chance to get into a government uni, and private is all that you have in terms of getting into a med school, so you should consider things like PTPTN. At PTPTN, the cut-off point of loan they're giving is 250k, so try your best to get 250k. And so those are some little things that you can talk about finances, as well as do check on your state loans. Like there are Selangor study loans or Perak state loans, things like that. You should consider on things like this, because tuition fees are really, really expensive in private universities. Unless you're rich or you have some sort of savings for your studies, or you're working and studying, then okay, you can survive. But let's say you are literally going for the sake of passion, please consider all of this before you enter a med school in private universities, because even if you want to quit, you have already spent a lot of money beforehand. So make sure you really, really think that if you want to do a med school program in a private university, think properly that it is really what you want, because it's by far one of the most expensive course to do. So please think. pretty much that's all for today. I think I have briefly explained on how you get into a government or a private university, but let's say if you have any more questions or any doubts or any basically if you want to add into what I said, you can always do it in the comments below, and do let me know what you think of this video, and yeah, subscribe please. Posting more stuffs on med school as well as other stuffs that doesn't really bore you, so do subscribe. And yeah, thank you very much if you stayed through the very end of this video. I really appreciate it, and yeah, see you soon.